Oh yeah. Oh yeah, okay, fine. It's about driving pleasure. I'm using the word pleasure a lot. It's kind of freaking me out. I don't know if it's freaking you out, but it's freaking me out. Happy New Year! Or at least let's hope it's going to be a Happy New Year. Hello one and all, and welcome to Seeing Through Glass. Welcome to my first video of 2021. You find me here at my studio, STG HQ. I'm actually upstairs at STG HQ, in front of the kind of winter podcasting setup. If you don't know about my podcast, Behind the Glass, check it out, because big things are happening with the podcast this year, and Tony and I are usually sitting over there talking about, well, I never really know what we talk about, cars and F1 and whatever's on our mind. It's usually absolute garbage, but some people seem to enjoy it, so yes, go and check it out. But today is my first main channel video since my sort of short social media / YouTube break over the Christmas holidays, and I want to focus on my Porsche 911. I think most of you will remember that at the end of last year, this car was getting a lot of work done at Visac UK. It was a complete overhaul. And I'll be honest, we got caught out by a few things we weren't expecting. And actually, after the video that I filmed at the end of last year, the guys found a few more sort of niggles and little things that needed work, and they were amazing and basically ironed out every single issue they could find on this car. But it meant I didn't get it back till just before Christmas. So apart from the sort of 200 motorway miles that I did when I bought this car back down to London, I still haven't really driven it. And even crazier is I bought this car having never really driven a normal 996 generation 911. So I don't really know what to expect when I drive this car, which is what we are doing today. Yes, I'm going to be taking this out, hitting the road, and I'm going to be discovering, well, whether it's any good. Fingers crossed. Amazes me at how different each generation of the 911 is. I've been lucky, I've driven quite a few. They're each completely sort of unique and individual. I don't really understand it, but this 996 generation 911 is night and day from the 991 generation that I used for the majority of Drive the World. It's almost like a completely different car, and that's what I'm kind of excited about. Because you know what? Modern day Porsches, I'm going to come out and say it, are perfect. They don't do anything wrong. I mean, I've said that the 992 is a bit big, but it's a fantastic car. And the whole point about buying this car was to see if that maybe back in the early noughties, Porsche weren't making perfect cars in a good way. Because you know what? Flaws are sometimes character. My 360 has many flaws, but has much character. As much as I am now a Porsche obsessive and I love all cars that they make, they do sometimes lack a bit of soul. You know, they're just very good at everything, but they don't always make you go hee 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 hee. And I'm someone who likes to go hee 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 when I'm driving a car. So I thought, okay, maybe the 996 was kind of a big step forward for Porsche, but not the perfect final picture. Is that like a bald eagle? There is like a huge bird there. Bird official. Look at that. What was that? I honestly, that was like an American bald eagle. Okay, fine, I'm getting carried away, but big old bird. Anyway, I've come to one of my favourite local roads to try and have some fun and put this thing, well, give it a bit of a test. Because yeah, I haven't done this yet. Honestly, cruised on the motorway, which has been very good at, but I was expecting to be very good at that. What I didn't know is what it would do when we got out here. Now, interestingly, and straight away I can tell you that the suspension, well, it's clearly been fixed, because when I first picked up the car, I texted a few other Fiat Jahre 40th anniversary owners, like, wow, it's quite soft and supple, the car, isn't it? And they were like, what are you talking about? Because this has the up-rated, firmer, sportier suspension for the 996 Carrera. And they're like, it's pretty firm. And I was like, oh, maybe not. Then we discovered when the car went to Vice UK that pretty much all the suspension was buggered. So now it's all been replaced. I'm feeling the firmness. Yeah, it's not uncomfortable at all. It's nothing like a GT3 or even a modern day 911. I just feel the bumps on the road. It still feels supple and soft, and that's something about cars from this era. I remember when I drove the 997 Sport Classic up at Alexander's Prestige last year. I just couldn't believe how it how it felt on the road. It was just so composed and just so nice. It wasn't sort of bashing you along and hitting bumps and making weird noises. It's a very nice car to just drive along the road in, and this has that same kind of feeling. Now, of course, the sort of obvious difference between this car and the 991 I had back in 2019, God, that's a long time ago now, is the engine. Because no longer do we have a turbocharged engine, we've got a naturally aspirated one. A bit down on power, but it means it's so much fun to rev out. And you do really want to rev this thing out because we're going up to 7,000 RPM. And like all Porsches, the gearing's a little bit long, so is the throttle pedal. You have to really push a long way before you hit, well, I was going to say pedal to the metal, but it's like a nice plush carpet. I'm just going to drop back a second because I'm following a Nissan Juke who's annoying me, who's frustrating me because I wanted to build up some speed and throw this thing around some corners. Oh, there we go. That was nearly at the red line. I was having to keep my eyes down to check. But whoa. Oh, and it's moving around a bit in the corners, but in a nice way. Now, look, I know there's going to be a lot of 996 owners out there who are going to be listening to things I say being like, well, that sounds weird. Or, yeah, that's what my car does too. Because I don't know. I just don't know what to expect. I'm telling you what's going on. And yeah, it's not as kind of rock solid and planted. There's a bit more play, which is nice because it feels like I can do things with the car. It feels like I can move it around on the brakes, on the throttle, even with my steering inputs, a lot more than the heavily electronically assisted cars of today. It sounds kind of beefy as well, doesn't it? It's not that loud. So we do have now the Dansk Sports Exhaust. It's not the official Porsche OEM one, but it's got the same basically sound characteristic, which I thought were very important. But yeah, it's quite subdued in here. Let's put the window down. Still learning where all the buttons are in this car. Oh, that's a bit of a squeaky window. Might need to get that looked at. Let's see if it's any louder outside. Oh, and there's another car on this road. Oh, and there's another car coming. Let's crack on. Woo. Whoa, 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 traction, traction, traction. Okay, we get a bit more noise from the outside. It's just throatiness though. It's still very refined and dignified. And that's what this car is. It's a little bit more pleasant. The new cars are just very good. And this is my Porsche executive impression. The new cars are very good. This is very pleasant. It's very pleasurable. Kind of every single way. The only thing I would say is maybe I haven't got my seating position quite sorted, but I feel like I've got a less space. My knees keep hitting the bottom of the steering wheel. I am 6'2", so I don't always fit into cars that well. I'm going to try and overtake whatever this very strange car is. So yeah, I feel a little bit more cramped, which means that when we get to throwing the car around a bit, I've got to pay attention to where my legs are, what they're doing. Oh, it moves. It really moves, and brakes are good. Boys and girls, this is, oh my God. We are happy people. This car is a revelation. Keeping a car clean at this time of the year in the UK is basically impossible. There's not even any point in trying. Everything just gets covered in muck. It's a little bit depressing, but also I kind of think sports cars, supercars look pretty cool covered in muck. It's also quite hard to stay warm and dry at this time of year. It's just started raining, so I reckon that means time to head back to the studio. I'm actually quite proud of the amount of dirt and filth on this car. We had a brilliant time, so who cares? And as I said earlier, I think dirty cars kind of look pretty awesome. Anyway, two things I wanted to mention but forgot to do so during the driving session are two quite important factors that make this car feel so different to modern day 911s. Its size and its weight. It is smaller than a modern, well, especially a 992, but even a 991. 991, 911, sorry, all those 9s and 1s, I get a bit confused. But it's as light as some Halo GT cars. This thing is super, super light, and that does contribute to the feeling on the road, especially when you're looking out the windscreen, the kind of iconic front view from the 911 driver's seat, the kind of two wheel arches, and they're just sort of narrower and smaller. I mean, this is still big compared to a 70s 911, but nice for me and an enjoyable experience. So yeah, very positive today's experience. I've still got a long way to go with my journey with this car. As I mentioned when I picked it up, this isn't a forever car. This is kind of, a stopgap to before I hopefully get into maybe a modern day GT product. Who knows? But hopefully going to be keeping this car for 12, 18 months, something like that. Various COVID restrictions mean that maybe I'll keep it a bit longer than originally planned, but hopefully I will still get to do some big adventures with it, really learn it, really sort of get to know what it's all about. Something else that happened with this car pre-Christmas, not just the overhaul that I did that I want to show you very quickly, is this. So what's quite cool is officially, according to Porsche now, the 996 generation classifies as a classic, so you can get it on the Porsche Classic register. So you just take the car down to your local Porsche showroom or dealership, give them a few details. They could have checked that the car is, well, what it's supposed to be, and they can find it on the factory backlog, I guess, and then you get this kind of, well, how am I going to do this with, let me put the camera down. You get this kind of cool thing. So you get a little certificate there saying that you are on the Porsche register with the car and the VIN number, and a little sort of booklet explaining what it is. So yeah, just a nice thing to have with the car. So a very positive day. I have to do another shout out for Visac UK for transforming this car and making it rock solid, because I thrashed the hell out of it today and it didn't put a foot wrong. So that is very exciting. I cannot wait to get back out on the road with it again soon. Hopefully I will do so, and yeah, start talking about future plans with this car. But give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and make sure you stay subscribed for plenty more videos to come.